Welcome to the New Author Podcast, a weekly podcast diary starring Jerry Evanoff and Rich Kacy. Join them weekly as they talk about writing, publishing, and marketing their books. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Author Podcast. Today is Monday, September 1st, 2025. It's Labor Day. Happy Labor Day, everyone. At least the people that celebrate it. I don't really know how you celebrate Labor Day, other than like grilling food outside. But
yeah, parties, picnics, too much beer. That's usually what it is.
Cornhole, I don't know.
Yeah.
The fun stuff.
Yeah.
This is episode number.
I was going to say, we'll just get into chit chat right away. I used to work with a guy whose uncles would always end up in the hospital on Labor Day because they would eat way too much Virginia ham, which is that salted ham, and drink too much beer.
It's so specific. It was way too much Virginia ham. Yeah.
Very specific.
Interesting. All right, so that voice is Rich Kacy. This is episode 325. That voice is Rich Kacy. Rich, formally, how are you?
I'm doing well. I was just thinking as the intro was playing that what we need to do is we need to have like our cartoon characters or something there and then just fade into us as that intro goes away. But
I don't even know how to do that.
Yeah, that would be probably tough to do.
That would go back to the screen sharing you were just talking about.
Right.
How,
right.
We have to share the screen and have that on there and then somehow fade to the two of us. I actually like the idea. And maybe with this software, I have to look at the Riverside software. Maybe you can do it. I don't know.
Yeah, you might be able to. Probably not worth anybody's time, though.
Yeah. All right, well, let me jump into my stats. I am back. I made it back alive from Las Vegas. I did not do Las Vegas like I normally do. We'll talk about that. So it was quite the fun trip. But first, it's a new month. And at the beginning of every month, I like to share, kind of recap where I'm at with this whole series because I'm doing something a little bit different than what you might see from other authors. I wrote book one in this series back in May. I published book one back in May of 2023 and started writing book two. And I was actually in the middle of like the final edit when you and I started talking about our goals for 2024. And that's when I realized I don't want to just write book two and publish book two and then write book three and publish book three. I've got this overarching story that's taking place through all 9 books. And I would prefer to write all of the first drafts. That way I can seed back, which is something I did 100% did today. And I'll talk about that. I can seed back things I need to seed back based on book 9's story. So I decided that I would write books 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 9. And I would also write a couple of novellas. I wrote a short story. All of it's first draft, except for book 2, which is kind of like second or third revision. But all of it's book 2 and all of its first draft. And then I'll be done with the first draft of book 9 here in the next few weeks. And once I get it finished, then that's when I'll go back and I'll start working on a couple of little changes to book 1. I need to rewrite a chapter in my first novella, which is book 1.5. And then I'll work hard on book 2 and get that to the editor. And then I'll just start publishing them, editing them and publishing them after that. So once I'm happy with the entire story, it's almost like one big story from book 1 to book 9. Once I'm happy with that entire story, that's when I'll start publishing.
Right. And that'll probably be equal to the length of about a single Brandon Sanderson novel.
Yes, absolutely. I wonder how many words it would be. I mean, it would probably be about 500,000, 600,000 words.
I think he's got a book out there that's around 500,000 words.
Oh my God. How long did that take him to write? Jesus.
Not long, apparently.
Yeah.
I was just thinking while you were saying that either you've got the most patience in the entire indie world or you're insane. One or the other.
I think it's a little bit of both. This is, I'm someone who literally doesn't sell books. Like I have 4 out there. I don't try to sell them. It's almost like it's just a time killer for me right now as I write the first draft. And I look back over the last couple of years. I'm like, I wrote a lot of first draft words, but there's nothing out there to show for it yet.
Right.
And I think there are many times along this process that I did want to just go back and publish book 2. But every time, the closer I got, the more I was like, no, I want to do this right because I'm enjoying the seeding, the going back and making notes in Scrivener in other books of things I want to change. Again, I did it today in 2 different books. And so that's probably what's been keeping me going is the idea that I'm in the final section of book 9. I'm in the last third of book 9 right now, and I'm literally making notes in previous books. And I've said it before, whenever I go back and seed things, I giggle to myself like a schoolgirl because I know I'm creating this little secret that only I know right now. And I don't even know if people are going to figure it out. I mean, the thing I did today, I don't know if people are going to even think about it. I mean, it's wonderful. I love it. So, yeah.
What's amazing is that you, after all those words, you even know where to go back and seed. Because most people
Yeah.
they get 9 books in and they don't have any clue as to what happened in books 1 through 5.
Well,
So-
I will say most of it is probably because I'm taking like 6 to 8 weeks and writing the first draft, and that's it. I'm not going a year or 5. I'm not editing. I'm
Right.
not doing all that stuff you do. I'm literally just on to the next book, and I can remember what I did a year ago in these books, or a year and a half ago. Plus, part of it is the amount of time I've gone back and looked at characters in other books and things like that, where I have a pretty good idea of where things are happening. So yeah,
Right.
it's been great.
I suppose
Book
I suppose nowadays you could just drop it into an AI and say, summarize this book for me, and that'd make it a lot easier to figure out where you need to go.
I haven't done that. I've been pretty good at like knowing, okay, in this book, what I'll do is I'll be like, okay, I know there's a chapter where this happens. So then I have to find that chapter. I don't know what chapter it is, but I have to find that chapter. And it turns out in book 2, I actually labeled the chapters like chapter 16, dinner party, chapter 17,
okay.
Sam. And I didn't do that in any other book, but it really made it easy today because I need to find the dinner party scene for book 2. And it really made it easy today to find that, which was good. So, all right, book 9, speaking of book 9, is now up to 36,296 words. Again, I'm hiding whether or not I finished, I hit my goal. I'm hiding that until I get to the end of my weekly recap, just for fun. I'm through chapter 19. I have about 26 total chapters plotted, so I have about 7 left. I've been talking for the last few weeks about having it done today. That way I could move on through this week, which is going to be really rough in terms of writing. But unfortunately, I just wasn't able to get there, which is fine. It'll take me another couple of weeks. I should be fine. So for the year, I'm at 143,263 words. The next time I write, which will be tomorrow afternoon, I will go past the 145,000 word goal that I set for the year. So that will be a nice big success. And I'll probably go 5 to 10,000 words past it is my guess. Which is great.
Nice.
It means I estimated pretty well on that one in terms of what I wanted to write. And my words per hour actually went down 3 to 1,287. You can probably attribute that to the Ohio State Buckeyes, and I'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm glad you got all that done because I did absolutely nothing. I never even really opened up the Scrivener file. I think I did open it up once or twice because I wanted to port it over into Vellum. Which I did because I listened to the Indie Writers Club podcast, and they were talking about how they're switching over to just writing in Vellum.
I haven't listened to that yet. Okay.
Because it's so much different looking at it and preview on like a Android device or an iPhone device or whatever, and just seeing the way it lays out on the page. Not only that, but it makes certain things jump out where you're just padding sentences with useless adjectives and stuff like that. So I ported it all over, but then I did absolutely nothing with it. So there's no change on my cozy mystery. I'm still at if I remember correctly, somewhere just shy of 42,000 words, or right around 42,000 words. And my total words for the year are still stuck at 168, well, almost 169,000. So yeah, did nothing this past week, and I'll tell you how much nothing I did a little bit later.
All right, great. I'm doing the same thing in Atticus. Like, I'm not writing in Atticus because the last time I tried to do it, I don't think it was ready for writing. I do, and again, like I've said, I just love Scrivener's UI. It's smooth. It's just easy to use. Mm-hmm. It's got everything where I want it. So, but I will put it into Atticus and do some editing in there as I'm formatting. So I kind of understand that because you can like make changes and then view it, and then make changes and view it. Right. And I like that. So yeah, I'll do the same thing with Atticus. Hopefully, early January. We're putting on here. All right. So last week, getting into my recap here, my weekly recap. Last week, I was in the office on Tuesday. This was actually my last day in the office until the day after tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Which is nice. I ended up taking my normal lunch. I was going to take a shorter lunch that day and leave a little bit earlier, but I actually just took my normal lunch. And I continued working on chapter 15. Although I did not finish it, I was able to write 1,093 words. This was a writing day that I had planned, so I knew I'd get this one in. 1,093 words in about 50 minutes, which was nice. And then in the evening, we had our last week of our golf league. I had a 39 going into the ninth hole. Like, I was doing really well. I was on my way to getting a pretty low score, and then I hit my drive into the woods, and then I tried to hit it out, and I lost it, and the whole thing was a mess. Ended up with a 47. I used to play with a guy who, it didn't matter where, and he's really good. He's probably he shoots in the high 70s, low 80s pretty regularly, and it didn't matter what part of the woods he was in. He would always say the same thing: "I got a gap," and he would always hit his gap. I had a gap, probably yay wide, maybe 2 feet wide, and I hit it right through there, straight as an arrow, except for that last tree right there at the end that nailed it that it hit, and I thought it ricocheted. We could not find it anywhere. So it's still fun to hit a shot.
Yeah.
And I won my match 12-8, which was happy. And then my partner, he won his match pretty big, and we actually moved into second place for the second half. That means we finished both halves in second place, which wins you exactly the same thing as if we were to finish in last place in both halves, which is kind of disappointing. But I think we had most points for the year.
Which is what, nothing?
Nothing, yeah. It's a nice pat on the back, and that's only if I decide to pat myself on the back. So that was golf. So our golf league is finally over. And with that, I will be working from home now on Tuesdays and going into work later in the week instead. I'll talk about that later. So then Wednesday, I worked from home on this day. There was no writing. There was really nothing except just working. I was trying to get as much done as I could before my vacation. In the evening, I packed and I did a fantasy football draft, and be ready for that as a theme. No, believe me. So then Thursday, this was my travel day. I was up early. I left for the airport, and my flight was at 12:30. Got on it. Everything went smooth. It was Southwest, choose your own seat, which I think is going away at some point soon. But I enjoyed it. It was fine. And I ended up getting to Vegas around 2:15 Pacific time. Once I checked in and got settled, I came downstairs, did a little bit of gambling. Ended up down about $20 for the night. I was staying at the New York, which I'd never stayed at before. And I was literally doing it for the food. And the food was the only actual good thing about it. It was, there's not a lot of selections in terms of, what do you call it? Slot machines. And I was trying not to gamble much anyway. I didn't want to gamble this trip. Like I said, I did this trip a little bit different. I looked at it more as I was just taking a trip to a place that happened to have a casino where I was drafting fantasy football. And that's really what it was. So, I was in bed early every night. I was up early. I wasn't trying to stay up and gamble. I really did not want to gamble much at all. The drafts I was going to were at the Park MGM, which is right next door, but New York comped me for all 3 nights. And I had to take that. I mean, Park MGM wanted me to pay $199 for Saturday night. It caught me the other 2, but $199 for Saturday night. So I just took the 3 freebies. And Friday, I should have walked over to Park MGM. That'd have been the smart thing to do because it's no smoking over there. Like I love that casino, Park MGM. It's a great casino overall.
Is New York one of the older ones, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Park MGM's new because it used to be Monte Carlo, and it's probably, is it 10 years old, 15 years old? It's new. I know that.
Okay.
So the first thing I did is I got some food. I went to a place called Gonzalez, which is a Mexican restaurant. I love Mexican restaurants. And I had a great plate of giant nachos, which was so good. And then I ended up, like I said, down about $20. And like I said, did Vegas a little different. So I was in bed probably by 8 o'clock. I mean, I was, it's 11 o'clock Eastern, so my body thinks it's bedtime anyway. So I woke up on Friday. I woke up in Vegas, which is always a fun sentence to say. Super early. And I just kind of sat for a couple hours. I did the golf scores. I did some prep for my fantasy drafts. I had 2 auctions that were going on that day. Watched some YouTube to get caught up. Went downstairs around 7:30 and waited for a breakfast place to open. And then when it did, I went in and had a nice sandwich. I love breakfast. I think breakfast is the only reason I travel anywhere anymore is to go to a breakfast restaurant.
If I'm not mistaken, Hunter Thompson used that line. I woke up in Vegas.
Oh,
in one of his books where the end of the previous chapter, he was still in Los Angeles or whatever.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's like,
that's funny. What? And one thing I forgot to mention, I don't know if I put it in the outline, but our book club book is James by Percival Everett.
Correct.
We talked about this. I read the entire thing on the plane. Like I read it from start to finish. It's like 308 pages, pretty easy read. Yeah, I read the entire thing. Enjoyed it. Part of the thing that I was thinking throughout the whole thing, and believe me, there's a long story coming about this later on. But part of the thing I was thinking on the way as I was reading it was, is this really a retelling of Huck Finn from Jim's point of view? Like, and I know that it is, but what I mean is, if I was to read Huck Finn, where I see a lot of those same scenes where they were together, and then I get to experience what Huck was experiencing while they were apart. And I think that's such a brilliant story idea. I'm not sure what I'm looking for. I actually did that in my first 2 books. My first book and my second book are basically the same story from 2 different characters' point of view who interact a little bit, but not much, but they do have the same events that happen around them. And I also am doing it in this series where book 7.5 runs parallel with books 1 through 7 in the second half of it. I think it's such a great story, whatever word I'm looking for, thing that you do.
I haven't read it, but I know people go one of 2 ways when they do these retellings. They either just kind of use the setting and the characters and then just kind of go off, off the rails and do their own kind of thing,
A little bit.
or they try to stick close to it and like you say, give a different perspective on what happened.
Well, I can answer that right now, but that'll
Okay.
spoil what I'm going to talk about
All
later.
right. Okay.
So, yeah. So let's see. That was on the plane. I read the whole thing. I'm very proud of myself for reading an entire book on a plane.
Yeah.
It's not something I do, and that was actually one of 2 books I read in the last 4 days. You might be able to guess where I'm going here. Anyway, so I did all that stuff Friday morning, had some breakfast, then I walked over to Park MGM and I found my spot in my auction, and it's so much fun. It did not go to plan at all, but I don't care. Usually when it does go to plan, I lose, so maybe this is a good thing. And it's the same people. It's all the same people that I play with every year, except last year I didn't go, but all the same people I've been playing with for 10 years. So many. I walk in and people who, it's one of those things you see them once a year, but they know your name when you walk in, and you know their name. And I know everything. One guy he's from Detroit. He brings this kid every year, and I keep seeing this kid get taller and taller. That whole deal. There was a couple in there, Mark and Allison, who I never knew their names before. I never talked to them before, but they're in there every year, and they share a team. And we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
So the first auction ended, and first thing I did was open up my my author email. I got an email from Super Editor C. And she said, "Hey, I hope you're doing well." She said, "I haven't finished book 9." Or she said, no, that was not what I said to her. She said, "How is everything? I hope you're busy writing. Wanted to get in touch with you about your plans. Did you manage to finish book 9?" She said, "I know you're not ready to commit to anything in June, but are you getting close?" She said, "I'm looking at my schedule for the end of the year." And I wrote back to her and said, I said, "Yeah, I'm doing well." I said, book 9, I didn't get it where I wanted to get it, but I'm almost done with it. I'm in Vegas right now. I said, if you need me to commit to a date, I'll happily commit to a date, even though I never want to ever commit to a date. So I kind of roughed it all out myself and thought, what I'll probably do is I'll finish this by, where's it at? September 19th. I'll finish book 9. I'm going to take a week and make a couple of small changes to book 1, and I'm going to rewrite one of the chapters in my 1.5. That'll give me October and November to edit book 2, which should be plenty of time, especially since it's already gone through a second revision. I still have to write the last chapter. I never did write that. But I said, so how about I give her book 2 by Sunday, December 14th. So that's the date that I've kind of committed to now for the editor. And then she wrote back to me, actually today she wrote back and said, she said, that sounds great. She'll pencil me in. She said she'll get in touch with me though, a month before, just to make sure that I'm trying to get it done. So we have a deadline. I hate deadlines. We have a deadline.
Did she edit your first book in this series?
She's edited everything that I've done.
Oh, everything. Okay, so she did the other ones too. Yeah. Okay.
She's the one who gave me the free developmental edit because I sent people like you and my sister and other people her way. Okay. So she said, I gave her to do a line edit book 1, and she wrote back and said, "This book's terrible. I hate the main character. It's too long." She said, you gave me a whole bunch. You've given me a whole bunch. I think I've sent 4 different people her way. So she said, you've given me a whole bunch of business. So how about I give you a free developmental edit? And she says, if you're serious about changing it, I'll give you a nice one. 24 hours later, she sent me a 28-page document with everything that needed to be changed. And yes, and then I had her do the line edit afterwards too. So she's great. That's why I call her Super Editor. She's the best.
Yeah.
So December 14th, everyone. That's the deadline.
Okay. I'm going to pencil it on my calendar too, because I won't remember it after today.
Yeah, right. So yes, that was a nice thing. And then I sat down and started to write. I was sitting at my spot at the auction table. There were still people there milling around, and I just opened up Scrivener and I started to write. We had about 90 minutes between the first auction and the second auction. And again, you could just hear, I was sitting there listening, and you could just hear my fingers tapping away at the keys. Well, I mean, everybody had to hear that. I kept waiting for somebody to ask me what I was doing. So I finished chapter 15. And instead of finishing chapter 15, I went right to chapter 16 because I didn't want to have to think about where I was. I just wanted to start writing. So I went to I knew how 15 ended. So I just wanted to go, I went in to write chapter 16. And I wrote about 1,093 words in about 50 minutes. And I didn't finish chapter 16. So right now at this moment, I have 15 and 16 started, but not finished. But I got almost 1,100 words written between these 2 auctions, which is great. All right.
I was going to say, did you use your shiny new thing, or is it not completely shiny yet?
This would be for the Thursday coming up draft, and it's not shiny enough. It probably won't be shiny enough for me to use it. We'll see tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow night I might have time to take a look at it. We'll see. So then we had the second auction, and let me just tell you about this married couple. Nicest people in the world. So we're sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear some chatter across, from a guy who is, I know him, he's in every draft, and he's talking to them, and he's like, oh, I want to be divorce court. This is going to be great. Husband versus wife. Well, it turns out they split and have their own team now instead of sharing one. So it'd be auctioned against the rest of us and each other. Except not really, because what happened was their 11-year-old twin boys came in.
Uh-huh.
One took one boy, the other took the other boy, and the boys did the auctioning.
Oh.
Like, you're bidding against these. It was so much fun. They were hilarious. Every now and then you'd hear the mom. The mom would go, "That's enough," or she'd go, because these are $1,600 teams. These aren't cheap teams,
right?
And they're just letting the boys do it. And I asked her afterwards. I'm like, "How did you do that?" And she said, "Well, I told them, we like this player. Here's a range of money you can stick to." At one point, she says, "You already have enough quarterbacks and tight ends. We don't need any more." It was so funny, and it was so much fun because you're just bidding against these kids. So it was a lot of fun.
But Mom, I don't want an offensive tackle.
Yeah, I think that was being whispered to each other. Yes. Yeah. So at one point I was bidding against, I think Cortland Sutton of the Denver Broncos. And the kid says 21. And I say, he's sitting 2 seats over from me. The other one, I say 21 and he says 22. And I say 23 and he says 24. And I say 25. And the guy to my right says 26. And I go, "Hey, I was bidding against the kid. What are you doing?" And everybody's laughing and having a good time. So it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a good time bidding. So after that, I went to New York, looking for something to play. By the time I was done, I lost $400 and was like, "Oh, no more New York slot machines. These things are terrible." I did get some New York style pizza, and Chicago style pizza is my favorite style of pizza. Mm-hmm. But man, that pizza was the best pizza I ever had in my life. That New York that New York style. I don't know if it's a seasoning what they put on or whatever it was. It was so good.
What was it, like straight up pepperoni or?
Yeah, just straight pepperoni. Yeah, I'm super picky. I don't like mushrooms. I don't like peppers. I don't like onions.
Did you do it like they do in New York where they fold the pieces in half?
Absolutely, I did.
Yep.
And I only did that because I was starting to get full and I wanted to make sure I got as much in there. Oh. So instead of taking 2 bites, one for each side, I just folded in half. It's only 1 bite, so it's less. It worked out. Saturday, I did sleep a lot better Saturday night. So Friday night was a little tricky. I woke up probably 3 hours later on Saturday, which is great. Right. Did a whole bunch of computer stuff again, balanced my checkbook, checked all my fantasy baseball leagues, built a cheat sheet for my auction that's coming up Wednesday night. I showered and then I went downstairs, had some more breakfast again. And then I walked over to the Park MGM. This is where I basically stayed the whole day. I played some slots. I played some craps. I actually came out ahead. I went back to my room, grabbed my laptop. My draft wasn't until 4 p.m. Pacific time, so I grabbed my laptop. It was probably about noon, and I went into the sports book, which is Park MGM is the best sports book. It's a giant restaurant. It's a giant restaurant bar with TVs all over the place. And I got a table. I said, "You guys mind if I sit? I want a table with I always want my back to the wall." And they gave me a table, and the first thing I did was update this podcast outline. I hadn't done anything yet. That took me a little bit of time. It was tough writing while watching football. I also bet on football. I went 4-0 on my first 4 bets, which was nice. But, it's time to write. So I opened up the laptop. I'm peeking up at Ohio State every now and then. And I finished chapter 15. I had 337 words. And then I finished chapter 16, adding 671 words. And then I had more time because my draft isn't until 4. So I kept going. So I wrote chapter 17, starting and finishing it for a total of 1,643 words. And I kept going some more, and I wrote this first scene of chapter 18, 233 words. My draft was at 4. It was getting close to 3, and I wanted to go upstairs and find my seat. For the day, total of 2,884 words in about 145 minutes, nice. While watching college football and eating, not too shabby, which is what brought my words per hour down just a little bit as I was kind of watching TV at the same time, but great. I did not expect this. So I was very happy. And I blew by my goal right about that time too, which was nice. And then let's see. I had a draft coming up, and I didn't have a cheat sheet for it. I wanted to build a little cheat sheet, so I did that really quick. And then I went upstairs. There were only 4 of us in there, so they had a hard time filling it with people that came to Vegas. So there were only 4 of us there. The other 8 were online. Oh, okay. Just people. They said, "Hey, I know you're not here, but we need people. Can you?" I did that last year. They had a Saturday night draft in New York City that they do Vegas and New York, and they had a Saturday night draft. And I was scheduled for a draft online at the same time. And they said, "Hey, can you just come to do ours instead? Just do it from your house." And I said, "Because you do everything online anyway." And I said, "Yeah, no problem." So, that's we only had 4. So it was fun because you could really just chat with everyone because there were only 4 of you in the room. So it was a lot of fun. Found out again. I went 4-0 on my bets.
You could do a Jerry Jones special with one of the other players. or one of the other
Oh, yeah.
drafters and just say, okay.
There's nobody that stupid. Just, in this draft, yeah. So I went 4-0 on my bets. They were all $10 that paid around $19 each. So now I'm up for the day, which was nice. I went to the Hershey store. I bought some pajamas, and I wrote in the outline, and this shirt, because I thought I would be wearing it, but it's actually in the dryer. But it's a bright orange shirt that says Reese Cups on it.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah.
that's going to be fun to wear, probably hardly ever. But the pajamas, I bought some. They're brown chocolate bars on them. They just say Hershey's all in place. Very
well.
People
from a distance will think you're a Browns fan, but then when they get close, they'll see what it really is.
Yeah, but I'm also a Browns fan because you're right. Brown and orange, that actually works.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I got another slice of pizza, even though I wasn't completely hungry. I just wanted another slice of pizza, and I was in the room by 6:30. This is my last night in Vegas. I'm in the room by 6:30 p.m. I'm done. It's like I'm not gambling anymore. I'm done. There's nothing else to do down there but gamble and eat, and I'm full. Even though I just ate a piece of pizza and I don't want to lose any more money. So I was done. I caught up on some YouTube. I did make one more college football bet because the game was on TV in my room. And I woke up to find that I lost that one. So 4-1, I'll take that. Sunday, I'm up early. Let's see, I need to be at the airport around 9:15. So I showered and checked out early. The plan was to find a place in the airport where I could write. So I went really early. Like instead of going like 2 hours before, I went about 3 hours before, and I couldn't find anywhere. The only place I had breakfast at a place that was packed. I had breakfast at a place, and they were on a wait, so I couldn't just sit and take up a table. And Las Vegas Airport does not have any kind of a place where you can sit at a desk. Like it's really terrible. They have standing desks, and that's it.
The last time I was there, they had tables up on the mezzanine area.
I think I was in a different. I know what you're talking about. I think I was in a different terminal.
Oh,
I took Southwest for the first time. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. So I decided to. This is before I left the restaurant. I decided this has been going through my head since I read James, 3-4 days earlier. So I pulled up the old ChatGPT, and I have it open here so I can read it. I said, ChatGPT, I just read the book James by Percival Everett. Are you familiar with it? And of course, ChatGPT is familiar with it. Probably told me it was the greatest question of all time. And it gave me the story, the voice, the themes, the awards, the tone, the structure. I just wanted a yes or no in this case. And then it said wrap up. Yes, I'm familiar. Blah blah blah. So then I said, okay, things I didn't know, and I want you to explain them without spoiling Huck Finn or Tom Sawyer or whatever. I said I've never read those. I said I had no idea that Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer were in the same universe. Did you know this?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. I had no clue this was. So I said, can you give me some background? And it said, okay, sure. So then it told me that Mark Twain created this world, Mississippi River Valley in the 1830s and 1840s, right? Small towns, farms, unpredictable river. His books often focus on the lives of boys growing up in that setting. Mischief, adventure, moral testing. So then it gives me Tom Sawyer, which was the first, I assume that's the first boy he wrote, or first book he wrote was Tom Sawyer. And Huck Finn was like a side character. So then after that, he wrote The Adventures of Huck Finn, as now he's the main POV. And we'll get to that in a second because, boy, not happy with that. So then it's perfect. I had no idea of any of this. So, okay, cool. So I just bought The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn while I'm sitting there. I'm going to read this. So, did I write anything? Oh, and then I wrote, before I bought it, I wrote, I'm curious, is James, is that Huck Finn from Jim's point of view? I said, when I read Huck Finn, will I see some of the same scenes from Huck's POV and see what happened to Huck when they were apart? And it said, yes and no. Basically, it's not a page-for-page mirror. I kind of wished it was, but it wasn't. It says you'll recognize some of the shared stuff, but not all of it. So, okay. So then it says what you'll see in Huck Finn. Huck is the narrator. Rich, I want you to keep that in mind because we'll get to that in a second. And then it gives me kind of when they're apart, what the difference. And then it says, would you like me to map out a list of shared moments between the two books without spoiling anything? I said, yes, please do that. So it gave me 4 or 5 things that were shared moments. He gets bit by a snake. They meet those 2 swindlers. I can't even remember. There's a couple other things. His spoiler alert, his dad is dead. That whole deal. And then it gave me some differences, which okay, that's fine. It didn't spoil anything. And then I said, in James, Jim hides the way he speaks from the white people. When he speaks to the slaves, he just sounds like you and I, or sounds educated. I'm pretty more educated than me at least. But when he's talking to the white people, he pulls that slave kind of, what would that be? Accent, not accent. What's what I'm looking for? Dialect.
Patois is usually what they call
I
it.
don't know that word. Okay, I don't know that word. I couldn't even spell that.
It's a mixture of standard English and something else. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so and it gave me that. It told me that no, that was something that Everett made up, which is fine. And then I wrote in James, and this is spoiler alert. I'll give you 5 seconds to mute. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I don't want to spoil it for you either, though.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
Oh.
In James, we find out that Jim is actually Huck Finn's real dad. We went a Star Wars moment here.
Oh, really?
In James. Huh. Yeah, and it's interesting. It gives credence to some of the things that happen in that book. Of why the guy that Huck thinks is real dad hates him so much, and that whole deal. So, and that's why he runs away and all this. So anyway, okay, there we go. So then, let's see. Past that. Okay, all right. So now that's in the morning on Sunday. So I get on the plane. I start reading it actually at the restaurant. There's 260 pages. Not an easy read. Because of the what do you call it? What'd you call it? The patois.
Yeah. The diet. You're right. You could call it the dialect or whatever that Jim speaks. Definitely.
There were times I just skipped full paragraphs because and I didn't want to sit there and go, word. Okay, I got this one now. I didn't want to try to construct a sentence word for. I read too fast for that, so I just skipped it. And I went to Huck's answer and tried to guess what was being said based on how Huck answered, and even his sometimes is a little bit rough to read. So and then I got to about 50 pages to go, and I'm assuming you've read Huck Finn, right? I'm the only uneducated person around here.
Been a long time. Yeah.
So in the end of Huck Finn,
I'm amazed you got through school without reading Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn.
I had to read The Red Badge of Courage.
Uh-huh.
And a bunch of short stories. The only one I remember is The Most Dangerous Game. That's literally the only thing I've ever read that's a classical book. Never read anything else.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I got to about page 190. So about 60, 70 pages. And I'm reading this. And all of a sudden, Jim is captured. Huck needs to rescue him. And Tom Sawyer shows up. And then the book just becomes Tom Sawyer. And Tom Sawyer's a dick. Yeah. The book just becomes Tom's, and I'm like reading this going, would you just rescue him already? Like you keep saying how easy it is, and Tom keeps derailing you. Stop this. And after a while, I just said, I'm done. And I just closed it with about 50 pages. And I still have not read it yet. So I came home, and this is like one of the first things I did when I got home. It's 7:30 Sunday night. I'm tired, and I just want to change my clothes and go to sleep. But I went to ChatGPT, the same thread, and I said, can you summarize the last 50 pages of Huck Finn for me? I got really bored as Huck and Tom talked about breaking Jim out. They just talked and talked and talked and talked, and finally I decided to close the book. And ChatGPT said the following. It said, you're not alone. Many readers over the last century have said the same thing about the Huck Finn ending. I'll summarize the final stretch without dragging it out. And basically chapters 33 through 36 is where people close it the most, which is where I closed it. 37 to 40 is where the escape happens. I think I'm going to pick it up from there and read it, even though I know what happens. I may pick it up and finish it from there. And there's a big reveal. And it says, so the last 50 pages are essentially this is what ChatGPT said. Tom hijacks the plot, drags everyone through an existing farce. Jim suffers needlessly. Tom gets hurt, drops the news that Jim was already free, and Huck decides to keep running. And it said, and I said, 33 to 36. That's where I got bogged down. And it was because of this. It reduces Jim's suffering to Tom's childish game, which is something that ChatGPT had said. And it says, basically, Huck became passive. Huck was no longer the main character, which really annoyed me. And they wouldn't, and I'm rooting for Jim here. I'm reading the book, rooting for Jim. I've read 2 books about it now. And I was really annoyed that he's literally getting beat. And Tom's like, no, we gotta dig with spoons. We can't use the pickaxes. We gotta use the spoons because it's harder that way. And I wanted Huck to just punch me in the face. And it gave me like why Twain wrote it that way. Some scholars argue Twain was satirizing romantic adventure stories and society's hypocrisy. And it says Percival Everett clearly saw the same problem you did. In Jane, he refuses to let Jim be trivialized. He absolutely does. And I'm not going to spoil the ending because it surprised me of James, but I'm glad it went where it did. Like it was really good. Made a lot of sense. So anyway, that was my story of reading Huck Finn on the flight home on Sunday.
Now, my theory about all that is that by that point where it bogged down, that Twain just lost interest in it and just, he was, if I'm not mistaken, that story was serialized. He already had a name for
Okay.
himself at that point. So he was getting paid by the word. So he's just generating garbage just to get paid by the word. And then finally the magazine or whatever he was doing just said, okay, that's enough.
You got to finish this. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so terrible. It's so bad. I might go back and reading though go back and read from chapter 37 on. Looks like there's 6 chapters to go, and that's where it actually gets good again. And actually, I believe, again, spoiler alert, I think Tom gets shot, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. So
I think the other thing to keep in mind is that, you know, the expectations of what a novel book-length story would be like were much, much different back then in the late 1800s.
I mean, come on, Mark Twain had to know the hero's journey. He had to have seen Star Wars. Come on.
Because I've picked up books from that era, like some of the original mysteries back then, and tried to read them, and they just wander all over the place. You know, there's large sections of them where there's no forward movement. I just don't think that was as much of an issue back then.
Well, we'll see, because of you, I'm going to read a Raymond Chandler.
Okay, yeah.
Tomorrow Never Sleeps. What was it called? I wrote it down. It's one of the ones you found. Something about
that's one I just read.
Oh, did you read it?
The Big Sleep. No, The Big Sleep.
Is that it? No, I can't remember. Except I googled Raymond Sleep. I meant to Google Raymond Chandler. I'm going to read it. In fact, I mentioned it to the book club people in our last meeting about books.
The Long Goodbye.
Long Goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to read that because
the Big Sleep. The Big Sleep is another one of his stories from that era. Another novel.
So aren't they all about what's the character's name?
I don't remember characters like that.
Yeah, you would. It's it's one we know.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, my brain is just not working today.
Philip Marlowe. Marlowe.
Right.
So maybe what I'll do is I'll look at the first book in the series, whatever the first book is, and maybe I'll read that one. But I want to read one of them because it's like you said, it's kind of like the mystery, the murder mystery, kind of a hard-boiled murder mystery type of thing. Right.
Although, yeah, but you know, don't expect a ton of forward action. I mean, it does happen, but it's kind
not
of
good to put on the old. Don't put that in the blurb.
You would expect. Not like if you picked up today an Ian Rankin or something like that. You know, it wouldn't be quite like that.
Okay. So anyway, that was it. I got home around 7:30. I went to bed around 10. Nothing exciting today. I wanted to write today. I want to get some words in since it's an off day, vacation day. I checked around the internet, and Chick-fil-A usually is 10:30 to 4 on days like this. But I wanted to write early. I have a lot to do today, so I wanted to write early. But I looked at the one that I usually go to, and it said 10:30 to 4. Then I went to the other one, the one I used to go to a lot, and it actually said open now, 6:30 to whatever. And I was excited. I was like, okay, this is great. I wonder if they forgot to update their website. So, I showered, did all the stuff I do in the morning, again, balance my checkbook. We talked about that last week. I do it every day. Set up my fantasy baseball team. I joined a fantasy football league that was drafting a couple hours ago. And then I was off to the Chick-fil-A and I followed. It was a group of probably 8 or 9 of us that pulled in, did the loop around the parking lot, and pulled out and went somewhere else because we all must have looked at the website. So great job, Niles Chick-fil-A. I ended up going to Panera, which, always my last choice. It's always Plan Z because I don't particularly care for the food. But it's the only place open. So I went there, had a sandwich and a muffin, and I opened up chapter 18 where I'd left off on Saturday. And this is where I went back. So I wanted my character Sam to be a little more broken up over the person that he put in jail in book 2. This is like a really good friend of his. If she had been single, he probably would have been with her. Like they're that close. Mm-hmm. And it turns out in the end, spoiler alert, she's the murderer and he's got to be the one that puts her in jail. He's got to be the one that gives her up. And I want that to be really hard on him. I want it to resonate through a lot of books. So I'm writing this scene now in book 9 where he's sitting at the same table in the same chair that he had sat in 6 months earlier when the realization hit him that she was the guilty one. And he's sitting with his best friend who was also her boyfriend. They were dating. So it's kind of a little triangle of friends, and there's a little bit of, there was a little tension between him and the girl, but really she was dating the best friend, so he left it alone, and so did she. They were good about it. And he's kind of thinking, and then I've got his best friend realizing what he's thinking about, and they have kind of a little heartfelt moment there. So I wanted to go back into book 1 and book 2 and make a couple of notes to make this a little bit more a tiny bit more sexual tension between the two of them, where in book one, the side characters go, oh, better not tell her about it, that you're looking at this girl over here, that kind of thing.
Right.
I want that to come up once or twice. And then book two, there is a scene where they go to this dinner party scene. They go there together, and I want somebody to remark, oh, you two look good together. And then I think I want to have a scene where their fingers touch. I think I want to do that and just leave it at that kind of thing. And then I have to write in some stuff throughout the rest of the series that, he's still broken up about this, what he had to do. And he's kind of looking for that closure. He's going to get the closure at the end of book 9, but maybe.
You said the way you said that, and then their fingers touch, remind me of like a Victorian novel, and then their fingers touch and it fades to black.
Okay. Yeah, but in that novel, I think we know what that meant, where in mine it doesn't actually mean that. Yeah. So I wanted to go back and make some notes in book 1 and book 2 to make some changes. And that's what I was talking about earlier. The fact that I can still go back. Now, book 1's published. I'm going to make a couple of sentence changes here and there, but nothing major. But this is a big deal in book 2. And the fact that I can still go back and rewrite those scenes or edit those scenes so that it's a little different from what I originally planned is why I did this whole thing in the first place. So, yeah. So while I was there, I ended up finishing chapter 18. Big, long chapter. It ended up being, I added an additional 2,364 words, which finished it. And again, this is the same chapter where Sam figures out who did it. There's a bit of a tense scene in here where the police arrest everyone. He's on the phone at the time while the police are arresting him. It's a whole thing I really actually enjoyed. It was one of those scenes where, like, I'm not shaking as I write it, but I'm like anxious as I write it because I know it's like an anxious scene for the main character. It was a lot of fun to write. I finished chapter 18. I had another fantasy draft at 4 p.m. It was a cheap Yahoo draft, but I wanted to practice for a draft I have Thursday night, which is the same number of teams, the same style. So I went to the grocery store first, came home, and I had about 2 hours to kill. So I played my football game. I haven't played it in a week, and I probably won't play it much over the next week. So I just tried to play it today for a while. I put it on YouTube. And then I sat down and I did my draft at 4 o'clock. I love drafting. It's a lot of fun. I think I have 16 teams is where I'm going to end, although there's a chance I could do another one Friday. We'll see. My goal for the week was 5,000 words. And I remember saying last week, I didn't know where those words were going to come from.
Right.
And I ended up getting 7,364 words because I really decided to make Vegas more of a writer's retreat fantasy draft thing with a little bit of gambling in the background.
Right. Well, just getting to bed early in Vegas is a big boost to being able to do that.
And I can do that. If I'm with my friends, even when I'm with my friends most of the time, I can do that. Yeah. But it's really easy when you're by yourself. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm going upstairs. That kind of thing.
My thought in Vegas when I'm by myself is that, if I do go down there, I'm liable to get in some kind of trouble. So
I'm going to lose money. So yeah.
Well, that could be the trouble on any particular day. But Vegas is made to get people in trouble, so you have to be careful.
Yeah. So there you go. That was my week. Very exciting week.
Yeah, very full up week, and man, I really feel like a piker now because I'm glad you went for 42 minutes because it looks like we'll probably hit the hour mark. Anyways, even after my weekend review, which is Tuesday through Sunday, I was just doggedly lazy and actively avoided doing any kind of writing. I did open this file a couple of times, like I said. I put it into Vellum. I kind of looked at it. But if there's something about avoiding writing that rhymes with Kacy, that's what I was. I'm not sure what hit me.
Lazy,
yeah.
Lazy.
Do that. If we're a songwriter, if you're a songwriter, if you're Taylor Swift, you make that rhyme. Yeah. So
Eminem can write a whole song with just that as a rhyme. Yeah,
that's right. I did do some reading. I'm still reading that Straight Man book. I'm about halfway through now. Man, it is so much like my life in academia. It's just amazing. all the machinations and stuff that people go through. Like I said, the battles are so vicious because the stakes are so low, and it's just the whole thing is like that. So I've been really enjoying that. I'd never heard of Richard Rousseau until I accidentally picked up a book because it was in the donation bin and started reading it. And he's a really good author. I'm going to have to run down some of his other stuff. He writes very good first person in there. But, to be honest, I sat down on Friday, I think it was, and tried to reconstruct what I did Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I couldn't remember anything that I did, which probably means I didn't do anything. I was probably just sitting there at the computer dealing with the patrons as they came in. And then in between downtime when I should have been doing something, I was probably scrolling through Blue Sky or looking at YouTube or whatever. Although I can't have earbuds when I'm sitting out there in the public desk, but I can. You can watch the video, so I make it up.
Can you put one in like on the side that people can't see?
Yes, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
But actually, my ears, I've got something going on with my ears where they're just tender. I've been to the ear doctor, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're just like irritated for some reason. So I don't like the earbuds. These muffs are better than the earbuds for that. Yesterday, I worked and spent the entire day. I worked at the library and spent the entire day either setting up, running, or taking down our Labor Day family bingo party. And yeah, I was on my feet for like 9 straight hours, and man, did they ache by the time I got home. I still got a Charlie horse in the inside of my left thigh from just all that standing. But it was a good time. There was a lot of kids showed up. There, kids. I don't know. Bingo was one of the most boring possible games I could think of to have to sit through. But these people came. They sat through an hour and a half of it, and the kids. I mean, they really get into it.
They're playing, right?
Yeah, they're playing. Right. And so they really get into, they can win something, and they can do their letters and their numbers, especially the young kids.
So I'm gonna bend down for a second while you're talking. Just keep talking.
Okay. And gave away a lot of stuff. Somebody had donated a brand new or nearly brand new backgammon game, so gave that away as a big final grand prize. Other than that, we gave away a lot of books, a lot of travel mugs and coffee mugs and stuff that were branded by the library, umbrellas, all that kind of stuff. So it was a good time, and I enjoyed being MC even more than last time. I dressed up as Bob the Builder, so nice. I had the orange construction hat and the earmuffs and the whole thing, still, I dressed up as Bob the Builder, and I looked like Bob the Builder. And still, one kid looked at me and said, "Who are you supposed to be?" And I this time I had a little lapel mic so I could wander around through the audience. Got to work on that a little bit because wander into some parts of that big triple room that I was in and got a ton of feedback, and I'm not sure what was all about.
Are you doing crowd work? Are you making fun of the people who here's from like Washington?
Yeah. I'm not actually making fun of them, but I am joking with them. And And I was supposed to have 2 assistants. Last time I did this, I had a guy who's probably about he's probably younger than me, probably about your age. And, he wandered the audience and, helped people out and did stuff. The 2 I had this time were two of the female librarians. One's 37, the other's 27. But they must be super introverted because they sat up front at a table and did nothing, even though I told them a number of times ahead of time what they were supposed to be doing or should be doing, until I directed them to go do something. Yeah. So I got to find some better associates for next time. But I mean, overall, it was a huge success. We had 85 people was the head count.
Nice.
Last time we had 60. So next time I'll have to set up for 100. And I don't think we get much more than 100 in those rooms. So
wow.
So it worked out good. I'm sure the boss will be happy when I see her Tuesday, I guess, tomorrow.
I will say that when I was 15, I think I told this story before. When I was 15, I played bingo at a pancake breakfast bingo thing with my parents and my grandparents. And I was 15. The last one was the coverall, and the grand prize was $1,000, and I won. I'm like this. My grandpa grabbed my arm. Bingo! We got a bingo over here. And then my dad leaned over and he says,
"You're too young.
Says, you better not have made any mistakes. You're gonna have 100 pissed off old people." So if you're wondering, this here is the card.
Oh, you still kept it. Cool.
I still have the card. 066 was the final number picked right there.
Oh, yeah. So it was Blackout you were playing?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, coverall. Is that what it's Blackout? Yeah. So if you're watching on YouTube, I still have the card from. God, this would have been from 1989, 1990. Yeah, but I kept the card.
The very last game we played was don't usually play Blackout games because they take so long. But the very last one we played was Blackout for that backgammon game. So somebody won it. Somebody got a Blackout. And then everybody else was going, "No, let's keep going. Let's keep going." So I kept on going. I kept calling numbers, and people kept getting blackouts, so they could go get a prize. And then there was 2 guys left where they didn't have blackouts, and there was only 1 number I could turn.
Oh, no.
So I turned it anyways, and they went and got a prize.
Nice.
I think people like me because my goal, we get the 2 big 10-foot tables, and it's just covered with stuff. And my goal is to not have to pack any of that stuff back up when I leave.
These were all donations, or what were these things?
Well, some of it was donations. The library branded stuff comes from our outreach program.
Okay.
So
nice.
Like we get a lot of books are donated every day. People bring in books to be donated, but a lot of them are hardbacks and paperbacks that look in pristine condition. It's like people maybe were given them or bought them and never even opened them up, and never cracked any. Spines aren't cracked or anything. So, but I think I mentioned this last time I had the bingo. It's odd. People come to the library to play a game where they can win prizes, and the last thing they go for are the books.
Right. Yeah.
They want the little doodads. Oh, we did have a cool prize I had hoped wouldn't go, but I knew it would have. I was going to grab one for myself. These little emergency power bricks that you can charge up and have for when your power goes out, which down here is a big deal. Because we usually have at least 2-3 storms a year where the power goes out, sometimes for an extended period of time. I think one time we were out of power for almost 2.5 weeks, something like that.
Oh wow! Holy cow! Okay.
Yeah, one of the hurricanes. So that was yesterday. This morning I just slept in until about 8, and then after breakfast I spent the next few hours cooking for the week ahead. I made a big, huge breakfast casserole for breakfast, obviously, but breakfast casseroles aren't just for breakfast anymore, so you can take them any place. Made a whole big bowl of chicken salad and stuff like that in order to take lunches. Then after the lunch I did have, I laid down for a nap and it stretched into almost 2 hours, and nice. I got up just about an hour or so before recording here, so I could jot down some notes, and then after this I'm gonna grab some dinner, and I've got some pole beans seeds soaking in the kitchen. I'm gonna go out and plant those. Was kind of waiting for the evening sun, so it's a little bit less hot out there where I want to plant them. And that was my last 7 days, and I got nothing really accomplished. Looking back on it, I can just think, man, I must have wasted a lot of time not doing anything. Just kind of sitting around staring into space. So yeah, nothing new on my future list of things to do either. It's just the same. I did crack open Launchpad. To be honest with you, I couldn't find any place in there where they talked about what to do pre-book, how to start building a list pre-book. Other than in Facebook ads. I don't know if it was in Facebook ads or someplace else where they just talk about, just run some ads and stuff. So I'm gonna take another look. I was kind of doing it in between doing other things, but yeah. So I may have to just sit down and come up with a potential plan, and then just see if I can find anything that matches it.
Yeah. Well, mine is nothing new. Also, the biggest thing on there is the Matthew J. Holmes Amazon Ads version 2.0 course that I want to start reviewing. Not tomorrow, sometime in the next few months, not till I'm ready to really get published with book 2. And even then, I'm not going to do much with it. I don't want to do much with it until my novella is ready and 3 books are published. So we're talking like next summer, probably. In terms of my Addicted To, the Shiny Things app did take a back seat because I didn't take it with me to Vegas. My addiction is currently drafting fantasy football teams. Since last Wednesday, I have had a draft every single day, at least one every single day when I wasn't on an airplane. So that would be Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, today, and then I have another one tomorrow, another one Wednesday, and 2 more on Thursday. Wow. And I'm probably going to create another one. I might join another Cheap Yahoo League on Friday just to join another league. We'll see. But so far I'm at 16 fantasy leagues, which is about average for me. Usually I'm around 15, 16. So yeah, we're about where I usually am.
Knowing you as I do, you probably have a big spreadsheet to keep track of all these teams, right?
Oh, Rich, if you could just see the spreadsheet it's a Google sheet, that I have where I've got color codes and everything in there you could possibly, and I update it every day. It's like balancing my checkbook and updating my fantasy football spreadsheet every day.
Does it take much time to handle 16 teams like that, or?
Nah, the only real time it takes is on Wednesdays. That's when all the free agent stuff happens.
Uh-huh.
So if I want to pick up guys and drop guys from my team, pick up free agents, I have to do it for every team, and that could take an hour or so. But other than that, because I do my lineups throughout the week, so by the time I get to Sunday, I'm pretty much there anyway.
So the whole thing kicks off this coming weekend, right?
Yeah. Thursday night there's a game, and Friday night there's a game, and then Sunday is all of them.
Yeah, cool. Well, my Addicted To is still cookies, and I ate 2 packages worth this past week, and somewhat disturbingly, others have noticed that and have started bringing in cookies themselves. So now we got cookies floating all over the place, and I'm eating a lot of cookies. But oddly enough, in the last week, I believe that's what my app said. Last week, I've lost 2.5 pounds. So maybe cookies are a diet food. Maybe we got something
Maybe
new going
they
here.
are. All right.
Yeah. I remember when I lived in the dorm. I lived in a co-ed dorm, and all the girls would periodically go on these beer and pizza diets.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. All right. Coming up this week for me, it's week 2 of 2 crazy weeks of a lot of fantasy football stuff. The golf stuff ramps up and all that good stuff. So there's not going to be much writing this week. I said last week I wasn't hoping to get 5,000 words. I didn't know where they'd come from. This week I'm hoping to get less. I don't know where they're going to come from. So it's going to be an interesting one. Tomorrow, no golf league. It ended last week. So I'm going to be working from home on Tuesday, which is going to be what I'm doing throughout the winter. I'll work Wednesdays and Thursdays, partially because it's 2 days back to back. So I don't have to take my laptop out of my bag. I can get 2 days of getting up at 5 a.m. and then potentially 5 straight days of not getting up at 5 a.m., which will probably help my sleep as I go. But mostly because I can watch Sunday night football, Monday night football, and Thursday night football and not have to get up at 5 a.m. the next day.
Right.
That works out really well. So I'm going to try to write at lunch. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to, but because I don't have very many writer sessions coming up this week, I should. So let's just say I'm going to try to write at lunch and get 1,000 words. In the evening, I have a fantasy football draft. It's with my current job. It's a $20 league. There's not much in terms of prizes or anything like that. The 6 losers that don't make the playoffs pay for the pizza party. It's $20 to get in. First prize is like $120. It's nothing major, but I really want to win it. I really, really want to win it. So, so that draft is at 8:00. Yeah, exactly. And that'll take about 45 minutes. Wednesday, I'm in the office. I'll definitely write at lunch on Wednesday. Try to get another 1,000 words. In the evening, I have a fantasy football auction. It's at 8 p.m. and this is a $150 league that I've been doing with. It's a weird way to say. I've been doing it for like 10, 15 years, but I've only ever met one guy in the league because, this is one of those leagues where I meet a guy. I used to work with him back in my previous life. He has a friend. His friend has a brother. And then the friend says, hey, you want to get in the league with my brother and I? And I'm like, okay. I know no one. I guess in 2020 during COVID. So we usually have these drafts. We'll actually have not usually. That year in 2020 COVID, we had a Zoom meeting so that you could get on Zoom during the draft. It was the first time I'd ever seen any of them. And when I logged on, I heard one of them laugh. And I go, what's so funny? And they said, we didn't believe, Mike, that you actually existed.
Oh.
But I've texted with all of them for trades and emailed. I'm in the auction every year, and I support a team and I win and I lose. So obviously I exist, but this is a league that like it's there. Half the league is in Chicago, half's in Cleveland. It's a fun league. It's an auction. It's $150, and it's actually a good time. So I'm looking forward to that.
Of course, nowadays with AI agents, you might not exist. So
yeah, it's true. But I can't let an AI draft my fantasy.
No,
not yet. Give me a couple of years to figure it out. Thursday, I'm back in the office again. Wednesdays and Thursdays, I'm looking to make my normal 2 days. There will not be much, if any, writing at all on this day. I'll take a very short lunch. I probably have to leave about 3:30, 3:40 because I have to go to the house. This is one of my favorite nights of the year. This is where we have a fantasy football. This is the old job. We have a fantasy football draft. Then we do a barbecue. Then we have fantasy football draft number 2. That last one is the one where the Shiny Things app may come into play. And that's if I decide to use it. I'm not sure if it's there yet. I don't want to, and with that draft, I don't want to get into it and then like have issues and then fall behind or whatever. I need to keep my wit about me when I'm doing it. So we'll see. I'm not sure. I might do it as a test just to see what happens. So, that's my 16th year in that league. A lot of the same people, a lot of fun. It's a good time. That's also the first night of NFL football. I think Dallas and Philly play, and the game always starts while we're drafting. So for the longest time, it was like nobody look at the score, but it turned into everybody has laptops and we're all looking at the score. So now they just set a TV up and we watch the game, which is kind of fun because we're in like the 11th round and some no-name wide receiver scores, and all of a sudden somebody thinks, do I draft him? What do we do? There's a guy that played for Dallas, Kevin Ogletree, like 10 years ago.
I remember
had
him.
3 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah.
And as we were drafting, somebody drafted him way earlier than he should have been. Started him, got his points for that week because you get the points if you start him, even though you know what he did. You get the points, and then he never scored a touchdown the rest of the year. So it's a completely wasted draft pick. But it's a lot of fun. I'll be home late. Friday, no half a day for me on this day since I had today off, and I have nothing scheduled in terms of drafting. There's a chance I try to do it at lunch, but I also might look for a a league to draft in. There are still leagues that will draft Friday and Saturday before Sunday games, even though there are already games on Thursday and Friday. There's a game Friday night. It is Kansas City and Seattle? No, Kansas City and I'm not sure who it is. It's Kansas City, maybe. I don't know. So I'll watch that in the evening. I think it's a YouTube only game, so I'll watch that since I have YouTube. And then Saturday, I have my golf league outing on this day. It starts at 8 a.m., but this is a long day. I probably won't go home until like 3. I doubt there'll be any writing on this day because I'm going to be there most day. And when I come home by 3 o'clock, I don't really want to go out and write. So
Right.
I doubt there'll be anything on that day. Sunday, we should have our normal tea time. I haven't gotten the tea time yet. I'll get it Saturday. But this will probably start a run of about 6 to 8 Sundays where there'll be no writing for me on Sundays because I'll golf in the morning and then I'll come home and I'll watch football. So, and I have this every year, this little 6 to 8. Now, if it rains or if it's too cold or whatever and I don't go, then I'll write in the morning. Absolutely. But I think this weekend should be fine. And then Monday, my fun-filled weeks are almost over. I'm almost back to normal. I do have a Weird Al concert to go to the following Sunday night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's in Columbus. Looking forward to that a lot. So that is, yes. So then Monday, I'll work from home. I'll try to write at lunch. You and I will podcast in the evening. That's 1 week from today. So for my goal, I'm going to make my goal 3,000 words. Again, this is literally a Friday where I'm working a full day. Saturday is my golf league outing, and Sunday is football. I may not write it all on the weekend. Mm-hmm. So because of that, I'm going to make the goal small. I'll try to get 1,000 3 times over the next 4 lunch breaks I have at work, which will be tomorrow, Wednesday, Friday, and then Monday. So we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen here. Hopefully I can get 3,000 words.
What does Weird Al do at a concert? Is it like, does he do parodies or does he do stand-up or what does he do?
Oh, he does all the songs.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So he does the parodies.
He changes outfits on every other song.
Oh, okay.
It's a big deal. Like it's a big concert. Like it's a lot of fun. I've never been to one, but from what I've heard, it's a lot of fun.
He's getting a little bit long in the tooth for doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think he's got to be about 65. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. Well, my week.
I love Weird Al. I love Weird Al since I was 10 years old.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember all the way back from not Charlie Rose, but he was on some one of those
Dr. Demento. Dr. Demento.
Yeah. And he was but he was on a show that was like Charlie Rose, where they did another one. Another one
rides the bus.
Another one
rides the bus.
Yeah, and he was just him on accordion and some guy in the background that was on like a one of these contraptions where there was drums and cymbals and horns and all kinds of stuff.
So
it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. He went to one of those fancy colleges in California. He's really smart. Went to one of those fancy colleges and he was the DJ when he was writing that song. And he actually recorded that song in the bathroom across from the music area. Oh, right. There's a big plaque right now that says, this is where Weird Al Yankovic recorded Another One Rides the Bus. Yeah, I'd love to go see it just to see it.
Yeah, nice. Well, my coming week, it's going to be a short week in terms of work. I work tomorrow from noon to 9. Given that the library was close to that, it's probably going to be a madhouse. I don't know if I'll get a chance to do any editing at all. But after this week of laziness that I've had, I'm actually kind of feel a little bit recharged and ready to tackle it again. So I hope I do get some downtime. I hope people come in like they're supposed to, because that's been a real problem over the last month or two.
Yeah,
it was a real problem this past week. I'm not happy about that, but there's not a lot I can do about it anyways. Wednesday, I'm going to take the day, or I was thinking about taking the day off. I wrote down here I was going to take the day off, but then I discovered that Tammy has some friends coming over on Wednesday. I was going to have to make myself scarce anyways. So I
might as well get paid. Might as well get paid to not be there.
Yeah, I might as well get paid not to be there. So I'll just go in on Wednesday. And then Thursday through Sunday I have off. And those are legit days off. And I got plenty to do outside, including laying some more concrete. I wrote down here editing is iffy at best, but I really hope I can do it on some of those days at least. And then Monday I'll be back to work and I'll play more of Will Rich Edit Today games. So I've decided I'm not even going to put up a goal because, as I recall, not putting up a goal really did well for me a few weeks ago. So I'm going to try that again. Maybe I'll get lucky.
Okay.
And I don't have anything to share.
So I don't have anything to share, but I have to ask. This is probably a question for not the podcast, but who cares? We're just sitting here. I listen to Tony Kornheiser every week. He's on like 3 times a week on a podcast. I'm thinking, But one of the guys he has on during this time of the year is James Carville.
Okay.
And James Carville is a big LSU guy, and he's also like a super big politician. He is super left wing, and he married Madeline, who is super right wing. Madeline, who is super right wing. It's like this weird marriage, and but he's also a gambling degenerate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, because you were at LSU, and he's a big LSU. Do you know him at all?
No, I've never run into him, but yeah, he's kind of, well, obviously this is a really Republican state down here,
Yep.
so he's looked at like the weird uncle who lives in the attic kind of thing, and he was a pretty decent political advisor back in the like Clinton days. Like the Clinton days. Mm-hmm. Since then, he's just more of a gadfly than anything else. So.
Yeah, I don't care about politics. He's so much fun. Yeah. He comes on the show and he has that accent and he talks fast, and he'll hang up and Kornheiser will go, I only got about 50% of what he said. I have no idea. He talks about his boy T-Boy Latchley is the one that gives him the bets. I think it's fake. I don't think that's a real person, but it's so much fun.
I'm half convinced that like 50% of the accent is just played up, so
it absolutely could be.
Yeah.
But he's so much fun. So, all right, everyone, that is going to be the end of the podcast for this week. You have nothing else?
No.
All right, if you want to get in touch with me, you can email me, jerry@jerryevanoff.com. The website is jerryevanoff.com. Facebook page that will come alive at some point is facebook.com/@jerryevanoffauthor. That's good.
Okay. Yeah, you can contact me at rich@richcacy.com, and I'm on Blue Sky at Kacy himself.
All right, thanks everyone for listening, and we will be back 1 week from today.
Yeah, I hope you have a great week.